welcome to another video. So today I wanted to give you a behind the scenes look at the podcast that I am co-hosting with my husband. So today is Thursday afternoon and we are going to record an episode on progressive Christianity that we've been really excited to talk about on our podcast because it is something that we've been discussing personally together for a while. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about what we don't agree with it. So if you are curious about my thoughts on that, it's going to be on that podcast episode. But I wanted to bring you behind the scenes and show you kind of how we record a podcast. We usually record it either at our dining room table or in our living room, since there is more like fabric in our living room. So like the couches and the cushions and the rug right here kind of help to absorb some of the echo, because we have, I'm gonna show you real quick. So we have like vaulted ceilings, and that isn't great for the echo issue that we have in our house. So, but then sometimes, like today, I was planning on recording the podcast, and we're thinking about whether we're going to turn it into a video podcast as well and post it on our YouTube channel. But I don't think right now we are going to do that because it would require extra editing that we just don't know if we want to do that yet. I think it would be too much to take on right now. So I think we're just going to keep it simple like we always do. But I wanted to go ahead and show you our setup, the equipment that we use. Maybe if you're curious like me, I was always really curious about how other people recorded their podcasts and the equipment that they use when we were first getting started. So I'm like, let me just show everybody how it works and what we do. So nothing fancy here. You cannot really see all of the equipment, but I want to show you the setup. We have boxes from Daniel's dialysis supply delivery. So those are still sitting there because they probably don't fit in the recycling right now because we always have so many. But the first thing we do is just kind of clear out all of the usual decor. The tripod is right there, but I've decided I'm not going to record today. We do record like snippets sometimes, so we'll put the camera here and we'll sit right there. Usually if we're gonna record, we're gonna sit at our dining room table. If we're gonna have like a more mellow podcast, and mellow in the sense of like, we don't think we're gonna record any snippets or anything that we wanna post online, then like I said, we'll do it in the living room. But just showing you some of the equipment that we use while Daniel tries to figure out a couple things with our sound. For editing, we actually use Audacity. It was 100% free, super easy to use. So really like using that. It's kind of old school looking, but it has worked perfect for us. All right guys, so we usually record every couple of weeks, sometimes weekly, and we do try to batch all of our episodes. So today may be a batch episode depending on how we feel and if we have other topics that we also want to cover. If not, we'll probably record next week, but we usually are a couple of weeks ahead of schedule. Now this week we are literally recording on Thursday and this episode releases on Monday. So that gives Daniel, who edits all of the podcasts, a couple of days to edit it and get it scheduled to be posted. So I want to show you our equipment, and then I will talk a little bit about the website that we use to distribute our podcast, which is free and is amazing. So I'll get to that in just a second. But I wanted to show you the actual equipment that we use. So there's different ways to record a podcast, and the way that we decided to do it was mostly based on wanting to get the best sound possible, which we have struggled with the sound before. What?
Using the microphone.
I'm not using it.
Yeah, you are.
Bobby, I'm holding it because I'm about to show it.
I know, but unplug it. I can hear you and I gotta test the audio.
Oh. I was like, why is he being a
I'm here like,
right
where's that sound coming from?
All right. So the reason, or the microphones that we chose to record our podcast, so there's different microphones. There's USB microphones, and I'll show a picture of one on the screen. Basically, you take the USB mic and plug it right into your computer and you're good to start recording. So, and I'll preface all of this by saying that what we use to record is a similar setup, but we do use a soundboard, and I'll talk about why in just a moment. So we use I have a Surface Pro laptop that Daniel is using right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, so Daniel's trying to fix our audio because we've had audio with a lot of noise in it and we can't figure out why one of our cables isn't working or whatever. But anyways, there's USB microphones, and then there are regular microphones like these that use a soundboard, which this is what the soundboard looks like right here. So we use a soundboard because my dad actually gifted me one a couple of years ago that he had extra. He does my dad has always worked in the sound engineering media ministry of every church that he has ever served in. So he gifted me a soundboard, and I thought that would be, I think, the best thing to use, because then it would require us using less equipment. But anyways, so there are USB mics that you just plug right into your computer and use the recording, like the voice recording app that comes with pretty much every laptop for free, which is what we actually use to record our podcast, and it has worked pretty well so far. The last couple of episodes, we haven't loved our audio, so we are actually working on improving our audio today. Daniel's testing a couple of settings to see if that helps. But I just, again, want to give you a really simple look into the equipment that we use. So these Zoom microphones, we got them from Best Buy, and they had a kit which basically brought the microphone, and it brought the really awesome tripod or stand situation for the microphone, so we have to use it on a tabletop, which usually works fine. I prefer the podcast mics, and I have one from Audio Technica. And that one, I will show a picture or a link of it below, because our arm, it's like the podcast microphones. I have an arm, kind of look like a radio show type of microphone. The arm on ours actually broke, which I'm really sad about. And that microphone, though, we didn't super love, because that one, and we usually used it for Daniel's voice, because this microphone from Zoom, the awesome thing about it is that it's a dynamic mic, which means it's just going to pick up what's right in front of it most of the time. We've had great luck with that. We do, like I said, have bolted ceilings in our house, so we struggle with an echo, and this does a great job of not picking up the echo. But Daniel has or the microphone with the arm that I was talking about from Audio Technica is actually a microphone that will pick sound up from all over the place. So it was really hard. Like if our dog happened to like scratch himself or something like that, you could just hear his paws even though he was like on the other side of the house. So it was really, really annoying. So we prefer this one because it's a dynamic microphone that would just pick up what is in front of it. So in the kit, like I mentioned, you get the stand, you get the pop filter, and it also comes with headphones, which are really nice to have these. We like to record with these on because, first of all, they're really comfortable, and second of all, I feel like you can hear yourself better. I feel like whenever you're recording a podcast, you have to be able to hear yourself, because you can tell if you're being too loud, you can tell if your microphone's picking up too much. So yeah, this is a great kit. I think it was about $130 when we purchased the kit. We got it from Best Buy, but I believe it's also available on Amazon. So I will link it down below. Hopefully it's cheaper now. And we bought these back in 2021, so I'm pretty sure they should still be available. The next thing that we use to record, like I mentioned, is a soundboard, and I've already shown you what that looks like. So I just want to talk a little bit about the soundboard. So there's different ways to record a podcast, like I mentioned. Just plug a microphone straight into your computer, but we went the soundboard route, and the soundboard actually connects with a USB cable to my laptop, so it kind of works the same way. So you have the microphone that plugs into the soundboard. I'm not going to plug it in right now because Daniel's testing audio, and then he'll be able to hear me talk. And then from the soundboard, we connect the actual soundboard to the computer. So the really good thing about using a soundboard is that you're able to plug in multiple microphones, not just one usually, which is what a USB mic would do, where you can only plug in one microphone. We can have multiple. So we've had a great setup where Daniel and I use two microphones, one for each, and then our guest was able to have their own microphone. So that was really nice. So we really like that. But there are actual recorders which almost look like a smaller version of a soundboard, and then you can plug in multiple microphones on those as well, and you record straight onto the recorder. So there are also websites. So let me talk about the website that we use. And again, this isn't like a super comprehensive guide to recording a podcast. I can do one of those, but this isn't one of them. So you can also record onto a website like Anchor, which is the website that we use. And this is Anchor, and we love this website because it distributes the podcast for us. It's like we upload our podcast to one place, and then it will kind of post our podcast all over the place, in Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the Google version of, I don't even know all of them. I just know there's like maybe 5 or so of them, or 6, that it will post our podcast. So that is awesome because it helps us to reach a wider audience. And you can record straight onto, you open your browser and start recording using the Anchor website. But I don't like that because if our Wi-Fi happens to fail, then we're going to lose our podcast. So I don't like doing that. So usually what we do, like I said, is record straight onto our laptop. So that's kind of a behind the scenes look at the actual equipment that we use. And yeah, we really enjoy recording our podcast. Alrighty guys, so we are just about ready to dive deep into this podcast. It's going to be a really interesting one. I have my notes here with some Bible verses that I want to mention, and Daniel has also been taking notes and doing tons of research on this subject. And like I said, you don't want to miss this podcast. It's going to be really good, really great conversations. So I'm going to set you down over here, and we're going to get to recording. Church is being very vigilant of what is happening.
Right. So God is telling Jonah, go and call out against it. And Jonah didn't turn to God and say, no, God. Well, he wasn't even talking about how when he was complaining because he was scared to go do it because he didn't think they deserved it. But it wasn't because he didn't think they deserved that mercy. It wasn't because Jonah was like, everybody deserves mercy and everybody deserves a second chance because that's their truth. Whatever they're living, that's what they believe. No. Jonah understood that God was calling for them to call to repentance. So that's why he says, go. That's why God says, go to the city of Nineveh and call out against it. We cannot, as the church, not call out against sin when we're looking at it.
Guys, so we just finished 2 episodes of the podcast, which we're really proud about because our episodes are usually 30 to 45 minutes. So we are pretty pooped right now. We are exhausted. I'm pooped. So we're gonna go ahead and try to find some dinner if we can agree on what we want for dinner, if you can fathom that. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this quick behind the scenes look at our podcast was nice for you guys. If you have questions about the equipment that we use or how we get our podcast out there and you're curious to see more details about how we record and distribute our podcast, leave them down below. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.